a movie which, well, the first one was really a crowd pleaser in Fisherman's Friends, and now I think it was 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So here we are, 4 years down the track, and we've got Fisherman's Friends 1 and All, which is, alternate title Fisherman's Friends 2. PG rated, 112 minutes, and back to appreciate sea shanties and you were the Cornish contingent from the original movie. And look, that was all about many local mates who were unexpectedly signed up to an international record label, recorded a top 10 hit with their debut album, and now leading the group again is Jim, played by James Purefoy. But in Fisherman's Friends 1 and All, his father, Jago, played by David Heyman, also an original member of the crew, has died. And Jim's decidedly out of sorts. He's grouchy, he's contrary, and Jago remains very much in Jim's thoughts, as reflected in the multiple dream sequences that populate the movie. Jim has allowed the booze to take over, and he's anything but a happy drunk. With a position in the group open, the record label's keen to see the spot filled. Not so the 9 of them. They don't seem to be in any great hurry regarding the vacancy. The label's also about to release the group's second album, but problems are starting to mount. Political correctness, you see, is not this lad's strong suit, and Jim publicly disgraces himself. And he has an issue with a man chosen to fill the void in the group and falls out with a guest staying at his mother Maggie's Airbnb, Maggie played by Maggie Steed. So she, this sort of young woman, or not so young, the singer Aubrey Flynn, played by Imelda May, does indeed turn out to be a former Irish music bad girl who has crashed and burned. And now she's opted for the quieter life, and that's why she's sort of gone to the area where the Fisherman's Friend group hail from. And if the group has any chance of continuing to make a name for itself more broadly, there's a lot of making up to do. And the head of the music studio is far from convinced that these old-style musos are worth the risk. So, look, it is a feel-good movie like its predecessor. It's got a really nice score, strong score, beautiful scenery. I mean, wow, scenery. I do recall that vividly from the original. The cinematography in it was terrific, but it suffers from a really, really transparent plot. And it's interesting, it's been written by the same 3 that wrote the original: Piers Ashworth, Meg Leonard and Nick Moorcroft. But Chris Foggan, who was in the director's chair, is gone, and 2 of the 3, Leonard and Moorcroft, have been installed as the directors. So very few surprises, if any, and to me the whole thing looked and felt manufactured, Peter.
It did, to a very large extent. It's interesting, the first Fisherman's Friends film premiered at the Munich Film Festival in 2019, and it was incredible to see how popular that film was at the time, and how so many people there enjoyed it. So, and because it did worldwide, it did pretty well. Obviously, a sequel was on the cards. The problem with the sequel is the writing. And the issue about the writing is, as you've alluded to, the cliches, of course, the political correctness, the downplaying of the a cappella singing, which was one of the highlights of the original film, and just the predictability and cliches, especially the dead father coming back to haunt his son and to rev him up. And look, the whole thing just felt so contrived and so not terribly well written overall that I was disappointed. I mean, James Purefoy, good actor, not given a great deal to do, and overall the film, it may have looked good, but it didn't sound right. And so overall I wasn't overly impressed with the sequel.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be very much of that ilk. Dave, you?
Oh, I'm the opposite of you guys. I love this film. I think it's hard to criticize the way the story goes because it's based on a true story. So it's kind of difficult to talk about it being a cliche when that actually happened to the people that are in the actual group. I think the film actually took a really good look at some of the things that modern day bands face these days, the political correctness training that artists are put through. I interview a lot of musicians that have been in the industry for 30, 40 years, and the way that they describe those political correctness training days, I could not say in this time slot. I also thought it really explored the notion of sometimes if we see a celebrity going off the rails, what's happening in their personal life. We're very, very quick these days to counsel somebody if they do something that is considered a little bit out there or something in public. But as this film shows, sometimes there's things going on behind the scenes that people don't know. So I thought this film was actually quite important in some of the things that it actually explored. And I know a lot of musos out there are going to watch this film and go, it's about time somebody put this on screen.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Jacqui, are you enamoured or not?
Well, I thought, Dave might be right in saying some of what it explores is worthwhile, but it could have been done in a better and more interesting way. I'm totally agreeing with everything Peter said it was so contrived, it was actually really boring. It was so predictable, and we did miss that singing of the first one, the joy of the singing. Really, to watch a bunch of grumpy, old, rude, inappropriate men standing around the bar saying the wrong thing and was just like really not what I want to go to a movie and see. The women tended to be rather more lively and lovely characters, particularly the Irish singer Imelda May. And she was quite delightful, and she had a lovely voice, and she had great character, and she looked lovely on the screen, and she really fitted into that role well. But to base the entire film on a bit of a shaky romance thing just really didn't work as well as the plot of the original film. However, we've got the grumpy old men, we've got the lovely ladies, and then, as you said, Alex, we have this fabulous scenery of the craggy, ragged kind of coastline there with the fishing village and the stone cottages and those stone wall fences, a little bit like Banshees of Inisherin, actually. And the film joyfully focused quite a lot on that, probably recognising that it was actually elevating the joy of watching the film, or giving it some joy in watching it. But I wouldn't say I enjoyed this film.
Mm-hmm. And Greg, what about you in terms of the cinematography, the rocky cliffs, the ocean setting? I mean, I thought Toby Moore did a wonderful job with it, and I also thought the music. I mean, it's feel good stuff. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's a nice setting, nice cinematography, as you said. But I didn't think this one was any near as charming or endearing as the original. There, in fact, if I can make a pun, I found it a bit tone deaf, actually. But like a lot of artists who struggle to follow up their successful debut album, I felt this film struggled to follow up the original film there a little bit. And I agree with everything that's been said before by Peter and Jacqui. Basically, I can't really add much more there. It's cliched. Basically, Jim hitting the booze and becoming a bit unreliable is a bit of a cliche in itself. The band falling apart and then having to get back together again by burying their differences is still another cliche. The head of the record company feeling that no one's interested in their music anymore. Again, another cliche. So it's cliche upon cliche. Look, there's going to be an audience for it, admittedly, and so a lot of people will enjoy this. But yeah, I just found it a bit clunky at times. There are a couple of clunky scenes there, like the one where they're playing the fish fingers walking down the street for a commercial. I just found grated.
Okay. Grating fish fingers. That's interesting. I thought grated cheese, Gregory. But there we go. Having said that, I didn't mind it. I thought it could have been, the acting, look, serviceable, I would say. They do the jobs asked of them. They make the characters as credible as they can, but that has to be, there's a sort of umbrella over that, given the shortcomings of the script. I mean, nothing about what the actors do seems unduly forced, notwithstanding the fact that they play everything by the numbers. And, James Purefoy, suitably surly, David Heyman, observant, Maggie Steed, reasoned, and so on. But and what did you guys think about that record label employee, Gareth? Joshua Maguire plays him. Purely introduced for comic effect. I mean, I suppose my take on it is, depending upon your perspective, you'll either accept him at face value or find him terribly grating, which is, I suppose, that role that the word grating that you used, Greg. Did you find?
I'll go with terribly grating, Alex. I'll vote for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dave, you liked it. What did you find about? Yeah. Did you think that character was? I mean, it was put in there for comic relief, surely.
Oh yeah, look, I didn't like most of the record label people at all. I thought they were the weakest parts of the film. So yeah, he was there for a little bit of comic relief. Apparently, the story about him getting trapped on the wall though did really happen. So yeah, some of it, maybe the guy was just an idiot.
Yeah. Well, I thought Leah Jordan, Jade Anuka, plays a more solid presence as this guy, Gareth's boss. I thought that, she wasn't held up to ridicule or anything of that nature, but obviously, they understanding the nuance and understanding why, in the first instance, they made it big because of the integrity that they had. Clearly, that's an important issue that resonates right throughout Fisherman's Friends, one and all. But look, it's pleasant enough, but oh so predictable. So look, let's get the high mark, Dave. You go for it first.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. And one thing I'm kind of disappointed in though is that Imelda May features on the soundtrack singing with the guys, but we don't really get to see that in the film.
Ah, okay. Yes. Okay. I would agree with that. All right. So I'm just wondering who's going to go the really low mark on this one. Jacqui and Peter probably. Okay. Jacqui, you go for it.
Yes, I think you've picked it correctly, as I'll be the low mark here. I gave it a 4 out of 10. Fisherman's Friend, one and all, it's called.
Okay. And Peter?
I give it a bare pass, a 5 out of 10.
Ah, and Greg? Yes or no? Pass or thumbs down?
5 out of 10 as well. And people comment that this is based on a true story, but then so is Cocaine Bear.
Yes, we're about to tee off on that one. Well, hang on. Isn't it common knowledge that bears like cocaine? Anyway, we'll get back there in a moment. Having said that, I'll give it a 6. So yeah, there we are. We're all in sort of similar territory. That's Fisherman's.
No, we're not, Alex.
Well, it's between 4 and 7.
I gave it a 4, which is a fail, and I don't often fail films. And Dave loved it and gave it a 7.
Yeah,
that's nothing at all similar.
Well, hang on. But what's the midpoint between 4 and 7, Jacqui?
Everything's got a midpoint, Alex. But there is no comparison between the score. Look, let's have a real fisticuffs over this.
No. Four of us think it's pretty ordinary. One thinks it's pretty reasonable, and that's sort of, isn't that a summary of where we're at? So you would like to fail it. The rest are almost failing it, but it passed 4 out of 5. So 80% give it a pass mark, Jacqueline. Is that
no? But you can't judge it like that. You have to say there's a wide range of opinion on this, because it's gone from a fail by one of the 5 of us to a very good mark from 1. So that's a wide range.
Okay, that's a wide range. Good. All right. Dave, this is not going to make...
Do you agree with me now?
No, but does this mean it's going to be... it's not going to be in your top 100 movies of the year, Dave, for 2023, or will it just sneak in, you reckon, at 7?
No, it won't with a 7. No.
Asked.
No, it won't with a 7.
There you go, Jacqui. So it won't even make the top third of Dave's films for the year. So what does that say about his 7? Is his 7 less worthy than your 7?
Well, I gave a 7 to the film Missing,